Now, this is not the first antibiotic-resistant superbug to surface in the United States, but it's what experts don't know that is perhaps most alarming. I talked about that with Jonathan Moreno. He's a professor at the University of Pennsylvania and a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress.
We don't really know. It's all speculation at this point. One theory is that when you have our animals, say chickens or dogs, near food that is going to be consumed by human beings that is open, that's not carefully contained in plastic or some other kind of enclosure, that bacteria can get into that from the chickens or from other animals. And no, we don't really know. What we do know is that this has been found in people in China, it's been found in pork products in China, it's been reported in Europe, and now for the first time in the U.S. But Mike, again, the fact that it's been reported for the first time doesn't mean that it's necessarily new in the U.S. This organism might have been around for a while and only stumbled on recently. But it does say that the international system for tracking where these things are being reported is very critical, because before the scientists can come up with a new way to approach this problem, and we do not want to be in a world, I can tell you, without antibiotics. That would be a very, very bad world again. Until that happens, what's very important is that hospitals especially find ways to prevent transmission. That's where a lot of the transmission is going to take place.
You said it's a bad world, and there are these frightening scenarios that I've been reading about. I mean, what's the potential out there?
Well, we already have over 20,000 people a year who die probably from weakened immune systems for whom antibiotics aren't working. They're mostly people in hospitals. The world before World War II was a very different one. You basically kind of hope that somebody would be strong enough to survive a bad infection. People would die of pneumonia. Hardly anybody dies of pneumonia anymore if there are antibiotics available for them. So we've kind of become spoiled as a species, and we forget what it was like only 70, 80 years ago, that it was pretty scary. So this is a situation in which the politicians sort of need to get out of the way. You know, we've seen this with Ebola, we've seen it with Zika now. Too often politicians, and frankly, Mike, the media also, need to really kind of tone things down and really let the scientists do their work rather than coming up with scare scenarios. I'm confident that we can find a way to do battle with this, but it is probably going to require some new science, and in the meantime, it's going to require very careful identification of danger signals in our health systems.
Jonathan, I know that when I've gone to my doctor and I've had issues, he'll always check the chart to see if he's given me antibiotics for this, and he's talked to me about this. I mean, this has been a conversation I've been having with him for some time now, and I was reading today 1 in 3 antibiotics prescribed are unnecessary. How big a problem is that?
A huge problem, Mike. 25 years ago, a surgeon sat me down at a medical school where I was teaching in New York at the time and said, Dr. Moreno, I want to tell you about a serious problem. You're an ethicist. I can see in the intensive care unit when my patients go there before and after surgery, they're giving them too much antibiotics, even if they don't really need them. And I really took that on board, but at the time it was a new problem to me. Only gradually through the 1990s did people start talking about this, that this was going to happen. This is not a surprise. But for many reasons, including the fact that there's not a lot of profit in making new antibiotics. It takes years to develop them and to test them, that we've really lagged behind. And this is not a time for panic, but it's a reminder that we really need to do something about this. And you're right, there is a lot of overprescription of antibiotics. If you're a parent whose kid comes in who's sick, it's hard for your doctor to tell you and your kid, well, I'm not going to prescribe antibiotics.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, CCTV-America.com.